question, there's sort of a humility thing, and first of all, I agree completely that looking at the founders is actually the first thing. Period. It's not the only thing, but it's like if you can't get past that, it's pretty hard to. Now, but having said that, I'll now interject one of the very first companies that I advised took one look at the founder and said, "Yeah, no." Right? Yeah. There's no way. That would be the one that's actually doing quite well right now. So, and I just know this person. It's like, you can't put them in front of customers, or could you? And so there's something about, a lot of those models end up being kind of normative. And sometimes is that what you need? We have a member who's one of the original investors in Apple Computer at $13 million pre-money valuation.
Are you willing to give me his information?
No. I don't know. I don't know when he exited. So it could have been too early. But
well, I could ask him.
But I mean, if everything you hear about Steve Jobs, right, in those early days, and what's his name?
That guy,
Bill.
No, you wouldn't invest in him because he didn't take showers enough, right? Whatever. So he was wacky and
I know some
erratic
founders who haven't taken a shot yet. That's funny.
Yeah, Steve Wozniak.
Yeah.
And but that's the sort of thing where I'm always kind of careful with those because I do get, is there one model of a CEO? Now, again, you go back into VC land with all of their podcasts, and they'll tell you, that, energy and blah, 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 it's like, I don't know. One of the things that I remember in my IBM days, I went out with IBM's top salesman in the United States, right? And I was coming out of the product and lab, and I was like a little nervous. And I had a Zig Ziglar, going to look you in the eye, shake your hand, and it'll be sore for a day. And, and this person was quiet, if not shy.
Wow.
Asked good questions. And so, I don't know, getting stuck on that. I don't, anyway, but there are things I have a couple tricks. Let me share. When I'm listening to a pitch event, I'm listening to founders. One of the things that I look for, these are tells, hey, founders, if you're pitching to me, listen. One of them is, you say things like I a lot, and my company.
Yep.
So what does that mean? That means you're the center.
We.
And that's it. It's we, my team, my collaborators. Yeah. And what that is a tell that you're going to be very hard to advise. Now, by the way, it could be you're right, okay? But you just put some chum in the water to say, we're going to start poking around at what kind of personality. How do you get along with your co-founders? And how do you get along with your customers? And so that's a pretty big thing. The other tell for me is the use of adjectives. We have the premier, et cetera, of and it's like, in the back of my mind, I'm going, I'll be the judge of that. But now, what you've done, especially with an investor or even an advisor, because you get that some advisors, they do it to advisors, is, this is no longer a collaboration to make me smart, educate me about your world. Now you're pitching me, so my deflector shields are up, right? So if you're slinging adjectives in your pitch deck, there's that. There's also the, there's also, you're a meme surfer. I can tell that you can cut it back into their personality from there.
Yep.
The other one is that is back to sort of the causal. Sort of that correlation causation problem. You'll see that in pitch decks. So I see it a lot with total addressable marketplace. For those of you who know, that's the potential size of this, a market that you're going to try to enter, right? And they'll say, the size of my market is the car industry, so it's $1 trillion, right?
Yeah.
I'm going, yeah, but you make a Bolt, right?
Right.
And it's a better Bolt.
Right.
So what's the price of the Bolt times how many bolts per year?
Right.
And so what they're doing is, and that car industry is growing by this much. Yeah, but the bolts. Right? So
Teslas aren't even making bolts anymore.
right. They're welding. No, I mean, these are reasonable questions. And by the way, if you invested in bolts, that's the kind of thing that would kill you right there.
Yeah.
Every car that comes out has fewer bolts. But, that kind of problem, right? Which is probably true with additive manufacturing, by the way.
Yeah.
Look at the synergy in this
This
conversation.
is great, man. No, it's phenomenal.
It's just rolling in on
It is,
itself.
man. It is. And
We
I
just took down bolts in this one
This is
pocket.
why you should sell the old home and move to Brevard County. Look at the synergy.
Yeah.
Your wife will understand. It's fine. It's fine.
I'll give her your number. Actually, the triplets, I'll give you all three numbers.
Perfect.
It'll be a process.
Well, I'll take the challenge. One thing you said in the very beginning, the I versus the we. I remember, that is so important.
Yeah.
Because even if you're singular, you're sitting in front of a room full of people you're pitching to because there's still a we behind you, right? You didn't get there on your own.
Yeah.
There's always a we. And I remember when I started Legacy, it was really we. When I remember I found my first investor, I said, we are going to do this.
Right.
And because I knew it would take a we,
Yeah.
and I didn't have all the answers. So it's that level, you're right, it's a huge tell. That level of humility
Right.
is so necessary.
Yeah.
So very necessary.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's the kind of person you want to hang out with too, is a we person, not an I person.
Right.
Yeah.
And unless you enjoy that and you like making fun of them. But
Yeah.
you usually don't have a sense of
Yeah,
humor.
it
either.
is people watching to the next level when you can hang around with an I person for a while, and then no, it actually makes you feel a lot better about yourself. It's
Yeah. The other thing you'll find, so again, back to pitching me anyway, would be, I'll call it excellence by association. So what an amazing set of advisors you have on this company. Then you call up the advisors and they go, Susie who? Or
Yep.
Tommy,
Oh, yeah.
Tommy, and so there's a lot of folks, and it's almost a generational thing a little bit, which is my associations are my fame. And these are people that usually came out of politics or they came out of government. You'll find I have these people associated with my company, therefore I am, right? And they just get away from this idea that it's about a customer and about sort of doing something that creates value in the world, not. And so it's funny, but these personalities wrap in on each other. The other one, another tell, would be when you give me a financial pitch about how I'm going to be rich. Because actually being wealthy is a byproduct of doing something else well, right? What is that thing that you want to do well? Because we'll never get to the rich part if you can't convince me of the product. So, these are things you see folks come in with different personality types, but some of them think an investor wants to hear about getting rich. No, investors want to create new stuff. They want to see you create new stuff, and it ought to be stuff that's, smart. And the fact that your goal in all of this is to be rich, well, we know that.
Right.
So don't put it on a slide. It's like you're going to do that because you added a ton of value to society, to the world. Even if it's a better bolt, right? I mean, it didn't break, so somebody's wheel didn't fall off. I don't know, but you're doing something interesting and good. That's the good, right? So don't focus on the money, basically.